All right. I've got my cologne sprayed on my hoodie and I'm all set. Finally here at ZMF, this is freaking cool. And I don't have an intro, that's all I have to say. Let's go inside. Was that what you wanted?
So yeah,
walk us through kind of like the beginning, because like obviously you've got a limited drop going on right now.
Yeah, coming up. Yeah. Limited
well, you've got
editions.
You've got the limited editions,
and then a drop,
and then you'll have a drop coming up in spring. Like normally, what is your normal cycle for doing like the I guess the limited ones, the drops? Is that like spring, November, and summer? Like is it 3 a year normally?
Yeah, so I think we think of the types of cups that we have as limited edition, rarities, stabilized in resin, and then there's the stock woods.
Okay.
And the limited editions is like, oh, we have enough wood to do a bunch of these for everybody that we could put it on the site.
Where it's not
we could order
crazy
them as
limited to where you have to be like, here, we got 5 of them, good luck. You know, when that drop date's hit.
And then the rarity and stabilized ones, it's like, oh, like this is a very expensive wood, or we only have a small quantity of it. We'll release this as one of ones in a drop, or it looks really unique. And when people buy it, like we kind of have to show them the cups, because if we put a picture on the site, it's not always going to look the same. So that's one of the challenges with the wood stuff is like, you put a picture on the site, people expect to get that picture.
Well, and on that note too, like I noticed something different about like the walnut one that you just did, because they're so figured that you can't expect, you know, what I'm going to get is going to be basically the image isn't demonstrative of what you could receive. So is that going to be a new thing going forward, to where you're doing on these limited drops like this, where you're doing individual pictures?
Yeah, and I think for the more unique woods, and especially for models that have a high price tag, that doing like this is a piece of walnut that's way more, less burly.
Please.
Way less burly than
just so you can get like to show what it starts as. Well, obviously it starts as a hunk of God knows what.
And that's the thing about any burl wood or the wood that comes from the stump of a tree, or like a growth on a tree, is that it's growing in such a twisting manner that, you know, our goal is to always show people as close to exactly what they're going to get as possible. And in the one-of-one drops, we always get to do that.
Well, and one of the things that always impressed me about these too is like, you know, if you can come in here for a second, so just so we can show it to people, is like, you take something that's like wood and organic, but like you it's so precise almost to where it's like metal or plastic, like, you know, and that's, I've shown people like the end finish, it's so perfect that you almost think it's not real wood. But yeah, I mean, look at how accurate all that stuff is. That's crazy. So now when you get these, what is your normal buying process? Do you get like, is it like a hunk of wood or just some giant knot of stuff, or do you normally get them as planks? Like, can you talk about your buying process and when you're selecting these?
Yeah, I used to try to buy the wood closer to the final form. So I'd buy like bowl blanks or something like that. But it turned out that wasn't really the best thing to buy, because you'd buy these 2 blanks that were separate. We'd have to try to match them together, and it would become kind of a harder process.
Right, because then you have ones that are wildly different cup to cup, and I would assume most people's feedback would be they want them to somewhat be consistent.
Yeah, people want like as close to a book matched experience, where like you're literally taking the 2 pieces of wood. And we can't always do that.
I was going to say, that's got to be,
because some trees aren't that
it's organic.
wide.
It's like 2 blades of grass. They won't be the same thing. Yeah.
So now and it actually took a bit of kitting up the machine shop. We bought as big a saw as possible, because the bigger piece of wood we can buy.
I want to give you these back, so I don't drop them.
Yeah, the bigger piece of wood we can buy, the closer to like the same grain angles we can get, and to a match we can get, because you can look at that huge piece of wood and say, oh, hey, there's the two cups that are going to look good
even
together.
Before it's machined, you're planning that stuff out to where it's like, hey, we know that this is something that people want. We want it to be machined to that the grains align. Yeah. That's like very early in the process.
Yeah, and I can show you guys in my office upstairs, my coffee table's made of a piece of walnut burl that I decided to keep for my table up there. That is the same, from the same burls that this was made into. And you look at it, and then, literally my machine shop guys, they'll go and draw squares out of where the cups are, and they'll cut it, and and so it's the bigger piece of wood you have, the more you can do that. It is frustrating to get a 1,000-pound piece of wood in and have to cut it up, but
well, that's kind of where I was going next, is like, do you feel like you have a problem letting certain stuff go? Like if you go to like where you source your wood from, it's like, I want all of this. Does it become difficult in the selection process? And then like, if you have spares, you can't throw it away. That's always somewhere. I'm assuming that's going to be a problem too.
Yeah, I mean,
storing all the stuff you don't use.
There's so much. I've always had a collector's mentality.
Wood hoarder.
The wood is another part of it where I'm like, that could make a great headphone. I'm just gonna buy all of it. And fortunately, we make a good amount of headphones now, so we get to use a lot of it. But there's wood down there that I've had for 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
That's crazy. How do you store it? Is like humidity and temperature controlled and all that too, to where it doesn't get
inside.
warped? Okay.
Yeah, and the St. Louis fortunately is a pretty temperate area.
Yeah.
You don't want stuff to be too humid, and it's not humidity controlled in the sense that there's dehumidifiers and all that stuff going down there. But it is all inside and being air dried and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
We thought about buying, it has to be kiln dried before we use it. And so if it's not kiln dried, we let it air dry for at least 2 to 4 years, because it has to get down to like 15% or below for it even to be considered
So you
cuttable.
might get something, if it's not kiln dried, that you sit on for years before.
And some of those
what do you got hiding down there for 2 years?
Some of those exotic woods you can't kiln, like black and white ebony, you can't kiln dry.
So you have to sit on that piece of wood for years before you can use it. That's crazy.
Yeah, and anytime a wood moves from environment to environment, so the black and white ebony is from Laos.
Yeah.
It'll come over here, and then it's got to kind of sit where the guy is out in Sacramento for a little while. Then it goes from Sacramento to us. And it has to be like 6 months to a year before you even consider cutting it.
That's crazy.
Because
I didn't know that, because I thought like as soon as you get it, you're like, hey, let's go. This is the next release.
There might be some pieces, but we get a moisture meter, and we go check every single board. And so a lot of it they'll check, and they'll be like, oh, it's 21%. You just let it sit.
So does the percentage differ from like wood to wood too? Okay,
Yeah.
so So you got to do a lot of calculations. So you're doing the grain, you're figuring out when it's getting to a certain moisture point. Like, I feel like for all the competitors out there that you're talking about ripping off, it's like, I don't think they're doing all that.
I don't think anyone would
I think it's like,
most
here's
people
this.
wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. But again, it goes back to like that care that I was talking about. Like, I think there's so much that goes into it. You're not just, oh, here I am at some wood place, I'm buying this, we'll make it next week. Like there's
if it's the right piece of kiln dried wood, we could do that.
Sure, yeah.
But if it's some, the cool stuff, the Macassar ebony, the black and white ebony, some walnut burls, redwood, any of the figured weird stuff. Typically, you get in those big slabs.
How many cups do you typically have just on hand? Like, how many different woods and stuff like that are typically within reach?
This is all the stuff that's like in current production.
This to me is like a giant toy box. Like I just want to say, like I want to look at
So there's usually, we have 9 or 7 stock models right now, about to be 8, and then there's 4 models that we have kind of soft discontinued that'll be part of our custom shop. So there's 12 models, and then the more popular ones we have a few hundred at a time. So there's probably a couple thousand cups. Yeah. And that's the thing, is our output is around a couple thousand headphones a year. So typically we'll have around a year's worth of stock sitting around, but
I don't want to take any of the focus off of what Zach is saying, because his is probably more like intelligible versus just my bubbling passion here. But I saw that there's some writing on here that says the stabilized resins, and I feel like that's, and I love it all. Like, I feel like this is where you guys get to go wild. It's like, okay, it's like, because obviously with some of these other ones, you're working with what nature gave you, right? But like this stuff, it's like, no, it kind of sky's the limit. And whatever, as creative as you can be with it, that's what you can come up with. And I was telling Spencer about this. I said, can I grab one? Okay. Yeah. So, as you would take one of these and you're like, oh, this is what that looks like. This is, but it's going to get, there's a depth, there's a whole amount. Uh-oh, I see Zach's going somewhere. What's he grabbing? But just to show like the transformation, because when you see it like this, it doesn't give you an accurate representation. Here, Spencer, come in here.
And then if you wipe it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, now you're starting to pick up all the extras. And look how deep that is. And I want to show, like, for comparison, have you guys ever been surprised?
Turn it over, I can do
it. That's what I was, well, I just want to show the comparison too. It's like, have you ever had one where it's like you're not sure? Oh no, I'm sorry. But I just want to show that transition because I feel like that's so important, because it's like, here, let's do the moment here. Go ahead, Zach, please.
Ready? Wow.
And then that's when that magic starts hitting, because it's like, man,
that's not exactly how it might look when there's finish on it, but it gives you an idea of like what colors are in there. And I think that's something that's really hard to tell for people, is they'll always want to see pictures of the raw cups.
Right.
And I'm like, well, just remember, like, it's not going to look like this one. It's going to look a lot more vibrant.
For sure. Well, and I can see that too, because like when you fully finish it, it's going to be like mirror smooth, like you're going to get all the reflections off of it. And when you add the clear, or if it's because what's the other one? Because like there's the sprayed clear, and then some of them are just waxed. Is that?
Yeah, so now we actually about 2 years ago switched to predominantly using UV finishes. Some woods don't take it so well that are more oily or exotic that we still spray. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's either a sprayed conversion varnish, or we use a UV finish. And we have different, satin, matte, gloss.
Yeah.
And we'll polish it based on what we think will look best.
So
but the great thing about the UV finish is that it has the greatest clarity. There's no VOCs in it. It's the hardest, finish. It won't degrade in the sunlight because it literally is cured by UV. And so because it's so much solids, like ever since we switched to that finish, those headphones just don't come back for finish issues. So how do you
determine that? So like, if you're gonna say, all right, this one's gonna be like an oil or a wax finish, this one's gonna be like a coated finish, is that based on like the type of wood, or is that based on just personal preference? Like, describe that. Because I've seen.
Do we have that laminated sheet that says?
Yeah, and I just want to say, for the people watching this, like, there's so much going on around us. Like, we're focused on one thing, but like, there's a lot happening here. Now it's starting to dry back out.
With the finish reference?
It's so cool. I'm gonna put these back because otherwise I'll leave with them and I might get in trouble. So, no. Even the ones that aren't like the resin stabilized ones, the wood ones are still 101. Like you can't get like the walnut one you were showing me. Like there's no other set here like that, and you have hundreds of sets. Even in the same wood, it won't be the same thing, right? And I think that's why there's such a fervor during these drops, because it's like that is your one chance to get that. Now, granted, I know you talked about the custom shop, and I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point, But again, it's like with those 101s, I mean, that is your one shot, right, to get that. So I understand it as a participant myself. I think I've emailed you about some sets. Hey, you got one kind of like this, because that one didn't work out or whatnot, on the purchase. But no, I don't think it would ever get boring, because as you pour the stuff on it and you kind of see what it is there a personal wood that like you like the best?
I mean, for resin stuff, Buckeye Burl has
That's my favorite. Yeah.
a really neat. I mean, the graying of the Buckeye Burl, I think, is one of the coolest. I don't know if I could. Well, like this one is. Oh, there's one.
He can spot them just fine, like through the box. He knows what it is.
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
this is natural without stain or without color in the stabilization Buckeye Burl.
So this is a natural finish just with the resin.
Yeah, and this is what they call, I think they actually call it bluing of the Buckeye Burl because it's a fungus that actually gets in the wood.
Yeah. Is that like that black where it gets kind of dark in there? Because you
Yeah.
have such light and then you get, yeah, okay. I didn't know there was an official term for that because even
I
the
think
set.
it's called bluing.
Okay.
Someone who's more of a real wood lord
I'm
might
sure
be
at some
able to-
point they'll leave it in the comments wherever we post this.
But yeah, you can see it on the inside too. That there's the natural color of the wood, which is that kind of, I don't know, almost that like almond color.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bluing or graying of the wood has that, I don't know, it just ends up with such a nice gradient
Yeah.
that I think it works really well with other colors, and it adds to the kind of natural look of stuff. And, you know, a lot of times when people ride in and they want their wood to be super smooth or something like that, I'm like, well, you can't have super smooth wood and all these cool features because all these
For
cool
sure.
features add
They
these
add
little
all
like
the knots, yeah.
divots and stuff like that.
So on the divots, on the subject of divots, when do you decide to fill one and not?
Typically we'll fill everything that we can, but sometimes there's stuff that's in a small or medium-sized thing that kind of we end up being like, oh, that adds a natural character to it.
Like it would take away
It
from it if
actually
you
is
filled
neater
it.
if we
Okay.
don't fill it. Like
Yeah.
something like that might be like, you know what? That's kind of like a, you know, a birthmark that is cooler and adds character. And if you filled it, it would just look like you were, you know,
Repairing
putting
something.
a Band-Aid
Yeah,
over
yeah.
something that I think shows the more natural quality of what you're making.
So I have two quick questions because I've never disassembled one of my CMFs to the point. I noticed that you have these numbers. Are they all serialized like that?
So anytime we always laser the cups after they're machined.
Okay.
Because anytime something changes, say a CNC bit breaks at the machine shop, and suddenly we see the hole isn't quite as deep or the radius is different.
Gotcha.
We want to be able to say like, oh, we know exactly what date this happened on, so we can check whether it's a parts issue or an issue with the program.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, you know, your CNC stuff might drift out a little bit, the jig might move. There's just a lot of
After
little,
doing thousands of sets, it might come
there's a
out.
lot
Okay.
of little elements that might change. And so the date helps us go back and rewind to be, you know, on your
Very
computer,
cool.
it'll say, do you want to back up your hard drive? It's our
Right.
way of backing up the hard drive so we can go back.
Okay. So, second question. Do you mind if we pour something on this? Because
Oh,
these are
yeah,
really
no,
cool.
those are nice,
Yeah, yeah. No, Buckeye Burl is my favorite.
Here's the-
And again, the other
I'll
one
let
we
you
had.
do
No,
the-
I will let you.
You
sir.
don't want to do the
I do not
pouring?
want to. No.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, do it.
Fine. I guess I will. Okay. Well, it's the other ones were like
Pour away.
they were in the plastic, you know. So it's like
Yeah.
you only see but like, you know, he sent me a video one time of ones that I'd asked for to be custom. All right, Spencer, get in here. You want to see this because this is where, like, they just get transformed. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, like that is gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's really hard to, you know,
Look at the transformation
yeah,
between
you
what
see
was just there.
the graying
Like-
or the bluing. It's really hard
like
to see the
there's
depth
silver,
of it.
there's like these almost like growth or burn or wood or worm marks or whatever that is.
That set
just-
actually reminds me a little of the one that you
Yeah,
ended up
yeah,
having
yeah.
made the verite out of. Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean the stretching, like I always thought that was so cool because you just can't, you know, we were talking about manufactured stuff with like other providers. Again, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but like if I'm getting something that was molded, stamped or whatever, that's not this organic, stretched, warped thing that's been made perfect again. There's just incredible, I think, value on top of, you know, and obviously we talked about how you price things and whatnot, but I mean, I don't know that you can put, you know, a price on art. Like that would be my challenge. You know, if I was in your situation, it's like, well, what do I charge for? I don't know.
Yeah, and I typically do the easiest thing, which is price it based on the materials and time versus saying, oh, this one looks nicer, we're going to charge more.
And I
because it's one of those things where, because nothing else in headphones is really priced that way, it's not in an art gallery,
right?
You know, we're not at an auction house. I don't know. Maybe someone down the line, years from now, if our stuff is renowned enough, we'll be like, this is the one ZMF that has this, and this, and they'll put it in an auction like an old vintage instrument. Yeah. That would be very flattering, but you know, I don't think that's not the way. I want to sell them as you know, usable.
I will say
pieces.
as a consumer, and I think that many other people would echo this, because some of the stuff in the drops is just so gorgeous. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I'm personally grateful, because I'm like, dude, I'd probably pay extra for that one. Or you know, like if I just had the chance to like get that one before someone else. And again, I know that you don't operate that way.
We have people email in and say, hey, can I pay extra to get that one ahead of time? And it just, you know, I think
which is
I'm
so
kind of a
fair.
moral warrior where I'm like, things have to be fair.
I totally agree.
And that's part of why we're doing the custom shop, because there are people who, you know, and the custom shop's going to cost a little more because you're building in that factor of picking out the cups exactly, getting all, you know, everything's built for the specific situation instead of choosing a final product. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to keep that cost as reasonable as we can.
Well, I think that's so fair, because again, it quickly could turn into that situation where it's just more beneficial to whoever can pay the most, right? And the fact that, you know, because I have so many people have said, oh, well, you got some kind of backdoor. It's like, no, I don't. Like, I'm there refreshing just like the rest of them, you know, hoping for the best. Now, obviously, you know, I pre-select, like, okay, this is the ones that I'm going for. But yeah, it's, and I was talking to Ben about that. It's tough when you don't get the one you want. You know, like if this wasn't out there, if this one was out there and that's the one I'm going for, it's like, oh, it got sold. Yeah. Damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the room where everything gets hand wiped. We have a spray booth back there. But everything that gets the UV finish that's not sprayed, sometimes we do spray the UV finish, will be finished in here. And I've just found that the hand wiping process, where you put 3 to 6 coats on a headphone, through wiping the finish off, wiping it off, curing it in the UV booth, doing it again, gives you a thinner finish, almost like a French polish in a way, where you get that thin finish where you can still feel the wood a little bit. Whereas like, yeah, you can kind of pick up the wood and kind of see the grains a little bit. It feels kind of buttery and smooth. Yeah. Whereas anytime you spray the finish on, it's much harder to control how many microns thick you are. You kind of get that more like polyurethane, like thicker feel on the outside. And I just feel like, you know, when you're buying a like kind of heirloom type product, it's kind of nicer to kind of feel the thing it was made from.
I would totally agree with that.
Rather than it being a thick coat, because, you know, you still see the wood under all that poly or, you know, layer of stuff, but it's.
But you're covering it up. Yeah, there is a cover there. So, what is the specialness of using like UV to cure it?
Well, one, the big thing is speed. Mm-hmm. You know, something that I used to have to do 3 coats a day of this finish called Osmo, and that would mean putting a coat on at 8 in the morning, putting a coat on at 3 in the afternoon, and then if we had to build them pretty quickly, coming back at 11 o'clock at night, putting another coat on. And I used to do that all the time because I was like, well, it's that time of year, we got to make headphones.
Yeah.
And the UV allows us to do five minutes of curing another coat and kind of go through it. So the second thing that is really the big benefit, though, is the UV cures much harder and is much more durable than those wax finishes. And so a lot of these cups, you know, you would be able to put your nail on it and leave a mark if it just had that like hard wax oil finish. You know, like a tongue oil that's on the back of an instrument neck or something.
So I would imagine too that benefits like the softer woods that would be more susceptible to nails or dents or setting it down, because obviously it's not something we're framing, you know, it's in use. So that I would imagine you added that too to help that.
Yes, it's a much, and actually they call it tabletop finish because the one we use is the hardest grade of it. Which is, you know, and it allows us to put on a thinner coat, but have a hard enough surface so that it doesn't get dented and will withstand the test of time.
Gotcha. This is a different cup.
Right. So this is the Tessidera stock cup.
Okay.
And the Caldera is the other planar magnetic.
Is this a canary wood?
And then this is canary wood.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you can see canary wood has a lot of variance to it. This is unfinished, so you can touch it. But yeah, canary wood is one of my favorite woods. I bought a ton of it because of my love for it and the ability to use it in a stock model like this. And yeah, you can see it has olive, reds, yellows, ambers, and a lot of gradients in between. And
the olive has like that really pale yellow, whereas the canary adds a lot more of that deeper yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's green, kind of hazel in there. And it's just a really fascinating tree. I believe it comes from South America. And it's a little oily is the one nuisance where Steven just a minute ago had to wipe them all down with acetone to get some of those oils out. Do you have the cloth you wiped with actually? You can see on the cloth, this is all canary wood oil that came out of the wood before we put the finish on it.
How long does it
I don't think you
that
make
for?
French fries with it, but
you might be able to.
maybe
So
tater
way to
tots.
find out.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Well, I was just gonna, how long does it emit that oil for? Like, is this like a bleeding process for like a tree? Does it happen? Like, does he have to do that multiple times?
Yeah, typically you'll do it at the beginning before you put the sealer on it. And then
Gotcha.
once the sealer's done, you'll do it one more time to make sure that anything coming through the sealer won't emit into the finish. And then these are where cups that are ready for production will go in. And so you can see they're denoted with the different model designations above.
In wood.
Yeah.
In wood. I dig it. So at any one point, how many, silly question because I know that there's probably a lot, but how many headphones will you have moving through here at one time now? Again, from going, obviously there was something that probably forced your guys' hands to have to move into this space. Like what is your average monthly output?
Yeah, we're
despite all the custom
we're around 225 to 275, and at any given time there's about half of those in a stage of production, so 130-ish in production at a time. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like I think that there becomes a point where I don't want it to be a cookie cutter assembly line. You want them to have all the attention they need, so it's all about just trying to find the best way to make sure they go through to keep the quality they need. And we're 21 employees now or something. I'm trying to make things more efficient instead of trying to just hire, because I don't think anything works if and nobody will be happy if things don't work in an efficient manner to where everybody knows exactly where the headphone is, and that's why we're putting so much energy into that, the back end system.
And it's going to be interesting too to see the growth after that, because again, it's so specialized, it's so niche, it takes so much care to take something from, a root or a board, to what somebody's receiving. Very cool. So this is where they would come grab it, and then
so they grab a set of cups. Well, those aren't set, like a set if there's an ALS, and then it would go into their station in production.
So I'm glad you brought those up. So like, obviously, with the with some of the recent posts on HeadFi, there's certain models that are moving only to custom shop.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the reasoning behind that?
Yeah. So I mean, we've got, I think 12 models now with the Tessidera coming out, maybe 13. And it's one of those things where even though my mantra's always been like, hey, every model's just different. It's part of a collection. They sound different. They look different.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to ask someone coming into the hobby to be like, hey, we've got 13 different headphones we sell. Here's a page with just a chart or something. Understandable, because most companies do the good, better, best kind of thing. And while I'm kind of like, I just want to do a bunch of different sounding things that are all unique and cool and have their own different vibe, because of that, I think it's even more confusing. So I'm really trying to split the lineup up into the stuff that I think, identifies our brand of what it currently is most consistently. And I kind of think it as like, hey, here's the more colorful, like lush and unique sounding headphones, and here's the slightly more linear, classically tuned ones.
Like the more neutral.
Yeah, like you have your Ori that's a little more unique sounding.
That's a bombastic
sounding headphone. And then like with the Tessidera that's coming out, that's a more like classically tuned, like not quite as bombastic, more linear set. So you can kind of look at them and be like, oh, I have this line, there's 3 or 4 models within each side of the line.
Yeah.
And trying to make a little more sense out of it so that when someone visits the website for the first time, it's not just like, whoa, like.
When do you, because you have so many models and they are all so unique, when does it come important to you, I need to make a new model? Like I'm gonna mix up everything, I'm gonna shove something in between something, like where does that decision process come from? Like, is there something that you're wanting to hear that you're not hearing? Are you getting feedback from other people? Does it start from you? Does it start from them? I know a lot of the questions, but I think you get the general kind of wholeness of what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think there's always 2 sides of it. Is that as a company, you need to come out with new things that are interesting to, be interesting to your audience. I usually look at it from the personal element of that I'm kind of exploring ideas that I've had and ways to implement them in the headphones. I'm a big enthusiast into old banjos and old guitars and stuff.
Right. Do you have a collection of those here at some point?
I have a guitar upstairs. Okay. Yeah, an old guitar. But like the idea in the Tessidera was there's a resonator in the back that's in the ADS, and it's like a wood piece that sits in there. And I kind of had this idea that in a guitar soundboard, you have a bridge that kind of sits in there, and that's what vibrates, and there's more mass. And so I just, I have these ideas where I'm, laying in bed or listening to a headphone of like, how can I explore this idea of a headphone that I want to make sound a certain way? And I think you were talking about earlier, I think one of the defining characteristics of, my work has been that there's a visceral, tactile thing that you kind of feel in the sound that is more than reproduction. It's more tactile, it's more visceral. It's like that, you go to a concert, you feel the
yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm always chasing with the headphones. And so those are the ideas that I just want to explore. In a lot of ways, ZMF's just kind of exploring those ideas. And I've gotten to work with Dave Friesema as an acoustical engineer the last couple of years, and he's helped balance out some of my more just kind
wild
of
ideas.
And
can I shove all these things in this cup and make it work?
Help me translate them into how you run through this as an engineer, how you would look at this, because a lot of times it's me messing around with those things, running to the measurement rig, seeing if I can see that kind of stuff, and that's kind of the exciting part of it. But within that, like we talked about, there's tons of failures.
Well, and I was, as you were describing it too, I was like, is it possible for you to like just enjoy music and not think of ways to improve it? Is it always a thing?
Yeah.
Because like if you ask an engineer, like, oh, it could always be better. You never stop building it or thinking about it in a sense.
Yeah, I think, I do envy engineers in a way, because I'm always like, oh man, they know more than me, because engineers always have that way of talking to you in a finite, like this is the way the world works kind of. And I think I'm a little bit lucky in that I work with so many great engineers that I get to take on the more kind of pragmatic approach of like between hobbyist and someone who's creating stuff, that I can kind of throw those ideas at them, have them kind of understand it, and then even sometimes when they say no, I'll go try it anyways, just so I can
just to see what it
happens.
was. Well, and that we were talking about that, when we were, again, not mentioning any brands, but I think when you get into that more reproduction only aspect, I think that in my personal experience, that's what's lost when you go that pure engineering route and you don't have, I guess, the ZMF wildcard, factor, is it does sound very sterile. I mean, it can sound accurate, but again, there's just nothing else to it. It's like, okay, this sounds really clear. And I've had sets, of my own collection where I've let people listen to them, like, hey, let's move up the line. And it's usually when they get to the ZMF, it's like, well, this thing's first of it's visual, it's like, whoa, and then they hear it and it's like, oh my God, it's like it's almost, if you're a fan of music, it's like pleasing to your soul in a sense, like you're just getting the wholeness and the richness of it, not just the reproduction.
Yeah, I think, in the hobby right now, a lot of people get lost in a frequency response because it's the most understood scientific thing we have.
Yeah. And you see that with a lot in the IEM world too, where they get super it's like, this is the graph, so by looking at this graph, I know what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's, I wouldn't say ignored, because there's people obviously looking at that kind of stuff, but where we're headed is like, hey, here's the frequency response. How exactly did we get there? Because you can get to the same frequency response through different time domains. And people have heard me talk a lot about impulse response and CSDs and spectral decay type stuff, because there's a reason why the same frequency response or the same set of speakers is going to sound different in this room or another room. And every time a person puts on a headphone, they're introducing their own head-related transfer function to it. And it's not about...
It's the head, it's the equipment, it's the chain, it's the power, it's the source.
And I think that's the thing about ZMF that I've tried to do. And I know you were talking to Bevan earlier about someone walking away from CanJam. What do they want? What do you want them to take with them? And I think that's why we have the different ear pads and the meshes and stuff. It's about it's not about hey, you hearing what we've made. It's about us catering each thing a little bit towards what's best for you, what pads work, what mesh works, what system might work. And I think that's the greatest, what I'm the most proud of at ZMF is that most people can come and kind of talk to us about what their tastes are. And usually there's something in our lineup, maybe through a little adaptability through pads and stuff, that will have them walk away feeling good about interacting with us and getting something that they like. So this is the ZMF production shop where we assemble the headphones. It's nice to have just an open area like this, and it's weird to think that a few years ago I was in my basement that was 150 square feet with one or two other guys, because there's just a lot of parts involved. And so we sub-assemble all the baffles and chassis here, and then the far side of the room is where all the cups get damped, and then everything's assembled together. And the big nice thing about having the space too is that now we're able to really Kanban, which is just have bins for every single part, and see exactly, are we running out of this, or are we running out of that? Because while you can run an inventory system, seeing what parts you have and what's running out and what you need to, a lot of our parts are laser cut in this room as well. We're really able to keep track of what's going on, which is tough when you have custom headphones made out of 150
and talking about the different parts too, I was talking to Spencer on the way down here. It's not everything is wood. When I remember the first time I took the pad off of a Caldera, I'm like, holy shit, this is carbon fiber. Is there reasons? Is it stiffness? Is it weight? What goes into when you deviate from your traditional materials?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're going to something that's not the wood, metal, leather, what most of the parts we like to use out of, it's either for a functionality standpoint of it's going to last the user a longer time, or with the baffles, we went from using pure sapele wood a few years ago to now we use a bamboo composite, and it's all for the reason that we realized the sapele is great, but if you have two things that have a humidity to them, they're both shrinking at different rates at the same time, it's just gonna, having one made out of the bamboo composite is in rich light is just gonna last longer because it's not gonna move. The cup's already moving a tiny bit as it goes in and out of humidity. In
addition to be hit with sound waves.
Exactly. And then a planar driver, we knew we had to use something like carbon fiber because the planar driver is that flat panel.
Right.
And we just, any movement in there, you don't want that membrane to start compressing or contracting at all.
You couldn't let it distort because it would change the sound.
Yeah. Our mantra is definitely using parts that are, around wood, metal, leather. I will say there's a lot of great things that you can do with 3D printing nowadays. Our big purchase at the end of the year last year was buying a Formlab Fuse 1 printer, which is a SLS printer. Those, you can make all these nylon parts, and that's part of the DIY headphone.
Gotcha. And I'm sure I want to get into that too. Yeah. We keep talking about wood and materials and everything. I want to throw something that I know I've been in discussion with others, on the forums at some point. the difference between different woods and the way that they sound.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how many hours we have.
We can look at some of the woods over here, and yeah.
So let's take a look at some of these too, and I think this is really cool for like any of the viewers too, because like this is your first chance of like seeing what it looks like when it's finished. We showed you kind of squirting stuff on them just to show the designs and whatnot coming through, but when you behold one in their final form, it's something truly special. Sure.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times people are like, hey, like, you guys make headphones out of every different wood. Do they all sound completely different, or do you tune them differently? And we tune every headphone to the same frequency response. And I think that's important because if we didn't tune them that way, then sometimes certain woods, if you just left them naturally to themselves, some woods would have a little more bass, some woods would have a little more treble based on the density. But by tuning them to the same response and making those little micro adjustments in the quality control room, you're able to hear that same response and really actually hear the difference between the wood. Because like African Blackwood, if you tune them exactly the same, a lot of times African Blackwood would have more bass.
Because it's so dense, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's going to reflect more.
It's reflecting back. And then your woods like Redwood Burl, or like Amboina Burl's a little heavier.
Let's take a look here.
Have more porousness in them. They have, because it's a burl wood with large pores, would sound a little lighter, a little airier. And while tuned to the same response, you're still gonna hear those differences. You're not gonna hear them as drastically if we didn't do that fine tuning to make sure that frequency response is the same.
Gotcha. And also this isn't like a process where your sounds right. I'm sure that there's a lot that goes
we'll head
into
the
that.
QC room.
Yeah, I would like to just kind of walk through here a little bit more. These are beautiful. Take them back before I take them home.
And then we were talking about Amboina Burl's just
that's
great.
so much.
I always wanted to make headphones out of it, and then I finally found it.
I just don't want to move on too quickly.
African Blackwood.
Yeah, so we keep bringing up this African Blackwood, and like, why is it so special?
Stinks
so
in
this
water.
is a Verite?
That's a Verite closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like look at the depth of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so gorgeous. It's like if someone like made you a piano out of that, you'd be like, yes, please.
You really should check this guy's pockets before you let him leave.
Yeah, right. But oh my God, even there's like a chatoyance to it too. Oh man. All right. Yep.
Yeah, African Blackwood's one of those woods that's, the tree takes a really long time to grow because it's so dense. It's weird to hear in some cultures and places that they actually burn the wood because it burns for a long time. So it's a neat wood to work with.
Can I just hold on? I'm seeing things that are, is this a Buckeye set?
Yeah, that's Buckeye. Yep, absolutely. It's got that little cardinal red spot on it too.
That's crazy.
It's a Boca closed, yeah. And that one's got a lot of that bluing to it.
Yeah.
That's the
There's
natural
so
wood.
much of that in there.
And then you can see we actually finished it. There's a little bit of pore filler in there that we used in a blue color to kind of naturally accentuate that a little bit.
What is like that red accent that's on there too? Like, is that a request, or is that like something?
That was what when we were making the stabilized wood that we just thought, oh, this would be interesting to have a little. Well,
and that's the fun thing too. Like, I like that you guys, you're tried and true. Hey, we're just gonna plunk it. We know these colors work. Let's like. I've noticed it, and I think that a lot of people appreciate that. There's some funky sets out there.
Yeah.
That have their own kind of groove.
Make
to
sure that it's not the same thing every time. Yeah.
Is it pretty common for just like someone from the team to just be like, hey, I really think it would be sick if we tried this kind of blend of colors?
Right now we're trying to come up with some new looks and stuff and different things to put in the resin. I think Bevan's discussed using flower petals, and there's some other ideas of trying to get like that kind of Mars gemstone lava look. So the tough thing is that you're machining it, so you make it into a square, and it's gonna be machined, so it's sometimes hard to know exactly what level. And so, our machinist Nick is thinking about ways to make sure that the different objects end up at that level that'll end up in a cup.
So I went off camera for a second. I just want to show you why. Like, Spencer, this is one of those ones where I'm talking to you about, like, where it's like, dude, you got to see these. Like, look at this. Like, you know, you've got resin flake with like a rose gold with like.
Dude, that is a crazy combo of colors.
Right, and you would never think it would work, and then you see it, and you're just like, damn, that's pretty. Like, look at that. That's beautiful. And then you've got like, you know, where you've got like this more semi-gloss finish, and then you've got like the gloss of the resin. And oh, I meant to ask this earlier. I forgot as we got into so many different things. Wasn't Bevan the one who originally came up with like the resin flake?
Yeah, so I mean, the story of the stabilized wood is an interesting one. This guy actually, Monster Zero, this guy Darren, a friend of mine who's on HeadFi, was like, wouldn't it be cool to make headphones out of this?
Yeah.
And that was, you know, one of those things where I think the most important thing you can do is listen to your owners, your customers, of like what they think is cool. And so that's what got me looking into the stabilized wood. It wasn't my own idea or anything.
That's beautiful.
And then Bevan had the idea after a few years of doing a stabilized that, oh, it'd be really neat to have like a clear resin with like a flake or something in it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we talked to, at our time, the stabilized wood people that we work with over in Oregon that did your sets.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we'll give it a try. And, you know, it's really nice to be able to work with them and give feedback. And
now you're doing that in-house now, right?
Yeah, now we just moved all the wood stabilization in-house.
Which is a big step.
We didn't fire them, they retired.
Yeah.
So, which is, it was really nice to work with them in Oregon and another couple and family-owned business.
Yeah.
And then be able for them to, you know, we went out there for a training week and learned everything from them that we could. And
that's a pretty fast ramp-up time, a week, to say, hey, here's how to stabilize all your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, you know, I was able to go out there and shoot a lot of video, make an SOP, record it, put it into a transcriber, all that stuff. And so we've got some SOPs now, and, you know, we've just started making, you know, our own wood
SOP,
cups.
what does that stand for?
Standard Operating Procedure.
Okay.
Yeah,
which
is the thing
Zach.
I said that I didn't know.
Now he knows.
10 years ago, I was like, what is this SOP thing? So now we're able to have all that down there. I mean, stabilizing wood, I mean, the big part of it is that you have to dry the wood to a 0% humidity level and then quickly get it in the stabilization chamber because you want it to be as close to zero in humidity as you can. So it gets, you know, we had to get these little kilns to dry these wood blocks out, and then you put them, you know, after you get them to be stabilized, then you put them in the mold and then you pour the resin in, and you get a block that's usually around 4.5 by 4.5 by 2 inches thick. And that's the thing, you never know what the cup's gonna look like till you machine it out.
I'm not gonna lie, this might, you know, I talked about, you know, potentially getting a set when I come out here. This might be one of them.
That might be the one.
That's ridiculous. This custom shop is gonna be so cool. I cannot wait, because like, I just wanna, I know we wanna look at the grills too, and I definitely do as well, but I wanna show, like, come over here, sir. So like, let's take a look at these. Cause like, you have the scepter one we were talking about, but then you have like, one that has a square instead of being round. You've got one that's round like a knurl, almost like a, I mean, this stuff is all, I don't even know what you would see that on, like some kind of professional device in some kind of sense. And then you have a stylized one where it's got these little cuts in it. I mean, you're gonna be able to make, I would think you'd have to be able to make the ideal headphone from all these different pieces. Like,
yeah, and the idea is that every couple of years we'll update the custom shop looks, so that, you know, when you have them, we're like, these are custom shop looks for 26, 27 or whatever. So that when you have those, once that look is gone, we're going to be replacing it. It's not something that'll be available forever.
Pick them up.
This is a headphone grill, and on an open headphone, this will go in the opening that's cut out of the cup so that air can flow through it. And really, at its core, this is just a decorative aspect for the air to flow through that makes the headphone open so that you don't stick your hand in and then go touch the driver or anything in there. And it's, you know, at another sense, it's an you know, for us on all the open headphones, it's an identifying aesthetic characteristic so that someone can look at the headphone and be like, that's a Caldera, that's an Atrium. And so, you know, we spend a lot of time designing them, and maybe you'll meet our our brand identity manager,
wanna-
who's after a graphic designer who designs the grills, because she puts a lot of effort in. And the one thing that happens every time we send these to our CNC machine shop we work with is they get angry at us because we basically push the limit of how thin you can machine the metal, and then it gets acid etched out. And like this grill, they said to us basically, don't do this again, because and they charged us 4 times the price.
So basically, these are a one-off. You should buy them ASAP as soon as they're released.
Like these grills that are now the Caldera's secondary grill, they were like, yeah, don't do this again because we can't, like, this is,
I remember
you can see
those.
You can see that it's so thin that these pieces move in there. And we just tell people like, hey, like,
Go down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Dear God. Yeah.
so you can see that like the metal's so thin that it moves.
Can't even get the.
But
focus.
it's like, it's hard to, yeah, do you want me to put my...
No, I got it. No worries.
I think that's the importance of the custom shop and keeping things unique, is that, like, you know, anytime you buy something that's really, you know, custom made, you know, maybe there'll be designs that do our core things like the stock looks and stuff. But when we have all these different rod and grill designs, likely once they're gone, unless people are really, really wanting this one look, we're going to be replacing a lot of them.
Like, Zach, I'll give you $100 just for these
having
rods.
new types of looks, yeah. So that every piece is more unique in that.
For
in that
sure.
way.
Yeah, because I mean, just looking at, I mean, you've got a whole rack of stuff there, and I think that he got a shot of that earlier, but it's nuts how many options there are. Not intimidating, it's just really cool because you're really going to be able to say, this is my set, because you designed it in a sense, because a lot of it, you know, is your team and yourself, you know, designing it. But at this point, it's them designing it, but you also can't go wrong because it's still going to have that sound.
Yeah.
So I will give you these back. I want to take a look and just show people like how many different combinations that you can make. And I don't know if you're able to pick this up too. Like there's individual trays within the tray and all separate out. Like if you had like just a bunch of different types of screws, like, yeah. So come on in here and take a look. Like,
so these are all old rods that are ready to be used on B-stock headphones. So this look is actually the original rod style in ZMFs with the rounded top. So these were our rods from maybe 2016 through 2020 or so. But we have a lot of them left over that will go in headphones at some
and I
point.
think when I started, you know, kind of getting into it, it was more where it wasn't as rounded like that. It was more that
design,
that I guess flat teardrop, if you will.
This design is the design that has gotten copied by a lot of other companies, you know, Chinese or otherwise. And, you know, and so when I started seeing these, I was like, oh, I know exactly where they got this from. I remember designing that part. Yeah, so this is all the cloths in here are what go under those
so this
grills.
is where the cloths go. Okay.
Yeah.
So is this like your glue where you put them onto the...
Yeah, so these get adhered on with, we always use the photo mount adhesive, and the grill will go there, we'll spray it, and then whatever color. And so that's a big part of the custom shop is that, you know, whenever you're buying the one-of-ones, they're already made to the looks we think are best. You'll be able to choose the look you think are best. So that might be the thistle grill and any of like 15 different colors of grill cloth. So, you know, here's a red and an amber. So that's what goes on here. And, you know, on the custom shop configurator, you'll be able to choose.
So like, let's do like a bronze, and
So
like
then
we
you
want
can
the
see-
ultimate autumn look.
Yeah.
You know, like, come on. Like in that with like a really heavy burled walnut or something would be intense.
Like a purple.
So then if we just switch, I'd like to see it. So then if we switch it out to like a purple, it's a totally different vibe. That's really cool. Even without the custom shop and just picking one that they had already made, I mean, it's all from here. It's all in-house. It's all handmade. Like it's, like here's all your different cables. And so we have the raw materials, and then now I've wondered too, how does one get braided?
Well, I mean, Bevan or Taryn do the braiding, and they literally will just pull the proper length of wire. They will grab a clamp it to a table or one of the rack, and then just walk
So
backwards.
hand finished, hand braided,
Walk
hand
backwards
everything.
and braid, and then throw some shrink on there to keep it all tied up together, and then they'll get all the specs, put all the specs on a sheet,
So
put them
this
in my
is
little
kind
basket.
of, this is when it would go to Keith, is that correct? Okay, so I want to, Spencer, if you can come over here, please. Look, like it gets to this point and it's still like in its raw form, like it's ready to be terminated in whatever the person had ordered. And I think too, it's worth pointing out because we talk so much about customization, we talk so much about like the uniqueness of all these different things, even the shielding. Like, are you able to pick that up? Like if you had a green, and blue headphone, you can have a green and blue cable that matches it.
We have all the options here in the bins, right here. All these different colors that then, they'll pull from and go find a headphone. Especially if it's stabilized in resin and everything, and take the batch of different colors and say like what matches best. Which is pretty. We have so many options.
Yeah,
So cool.
Bevan loves that. She loves
I'm
putting
sure.
the colors
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, like there's a million options.
It's just like the cable fashionista.
A braiding table would feel like oddly therapeutic. Or
Yeah.
Be incredibly frustrating.
Depends on how close to Zen you can get.
Yeah.
Wait, so what exactly are you doing?
I'm building a book of clothes right now. They gave me a mixed batch of quite a fun cups. Few cups. This is Amboina, black and white ebony, Macassar, purple heart, and these are just like some fun stabilized. I think these are gonna be for Can Jam, so they gotta get done today. But
Well, we don't want to
making
keep you
good
too
pace.
long.
We won't keep on you too much.
you're good.
This is killer.
Thank you. Yeah.
You see he's on the clock over there.
Yeah. I got.
Yeah, you got the time running.
Gotta,
We're bringing
Done.
his average down. Let's move on.
no, you're good. You're good. But
These are just
Oh,
repairs, so
Yeah.
These are cups that are probably being refinished. Maybe, there was a dry spot, or like this was it's a B stock that has a small crack or something that needs to be repaired. So the guts live over here while the cup is being fixed. So I'm trying to actually organize this a lot better because sometimes people are a little confused with what matches to what. So hopefully it should be easy to identify.
Well, and I think it's super important for people to know too that like once you buy one, just because it's handmade, it's not just here you go, good luck. That they can send it back, that there is a support system in place where that does take place. I just wanted to show too, before we moved into where the testing and everything is done, we were looking at that driver over there, and like that one, it's like, oh, well, they're all just wood headphones. Like the driver in this one looks completely different than what's over there, and the damping structure behind it. We were talking a little bit about like that carbon fiber, for the baffles and everything. It's really incredible, like to build something that is so, I guess, classical in nature. How much tech it takes to make that new thing look old and be as perfect as it is.
I mean, it's like we have a variety of different rigs that the headphones are put on. We put frequency response through to test that and everything. And then, of course, something I feel like that's pretty unique about ZMF is every single headphone gets listened to by a human. You're not mass producing these things and putting it in a box.
Meets frequency, send it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so every single headphone is listened to because it could measure really well, but then you put it on and you're like, this doesn't sound exactly like the sound profile that we're trying to achieve. So and it could be something so slight of, okay, we need to remove a small felt square off of the driver because it's to change the damping inside or something
And you
like
guys,
that.
I guess because you hear them so frequently, you can pick up really quick, like, hey, something's off here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't do the measurement, but at least what is communicated to me is that we have a certain playlist of test tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys know of like, okay, when I listen to this song on Boca Open, the kick drum is supposed to be right here.
Right.
You know, if it's behind or if you hear a different placement for a certain instrument or something like that, they know something's off.
Yeah, I mean, we do both sonic measurements and listening and all of that, so the kind of audio QC, and then we do the same process over with the kind of visual, you know, parts quality, everything like that.
So this is kind of where
here.
the buck stops. Like,
Yes.
this is where it's like, hey,
For
send
sure.
that back. Not ready.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
And it's
So-
whack-a-mole a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Things pop up and you try and stop it, and it kind of goes in a big circle sometimes. But yeah, there's a lot that kind of goes into each headphone individually, but
So,
then each model as a model.
I just want to say to everybody, so if you've got your set and you really like them, it's because of this guy right here.
And if you don't
the
like
buck
'em-
stopped with him. Yeah.
If you don't like 'em, I didn't-
It's somebody
I didn't
else's.
QC
He
'em.
wasn't
Yeah,
there that
yeah,
day.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
off that day.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's you know, as much about the sonics as it is about the visual and aesthetic quality of it.
It is a total experience. I mean, that's
Exactly.
part of what, you know, that I feel like what you get with ZMF that you can't get anywhere else. I mean, you know, because for example, there's been like some high-end Audio Technicas that have like, you know, wood on them and stuff, but it's like the cup's different. Everything else is the same, you know, as another model. You can't customize it. There's just nothing that has everything as a total package, but also like we were showing with the grills and the rods, like everything is its own little thing.
We
Yes.
actually collaborated with Audio Technica on the AKWG or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it's the
yeah.
AWG, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But even, I mean,
And again, not to take away, because everybody has their own thing. It's just and I'm not trying to call them out specifically. It's just, you know, and I've been doing the headphone thing, you know, for a number of years now, at a reasonably, you know, affordable level to where I can kind of pick and choose, you know, fortunate enough, you know, to be able to do that. But in that journey, there's nothing that ticks all those boxes. Like if you're looking for every single thing, like I want customization, I want incredible sound, I want attention to detail, I want that handcraft, I want the one-off, the uniqueness, I want to have it be individualized to my own taste, you know, versus just saying here's what it is. I don't. You can't. There's nobody that exists.
No.
Like you've invented the genre, if you will.
yeah.
And yeah,
It
it's-
really is. That's one of the taglines you see on the website and all of that is like each headphone is a one of one, even if you're buying a stock model.
For sure.
And that really is
well,
true.
like to your point, you know, if we go over here and we say, all right, well, you know, what's one of these? Looks like these are Caldera clothes.
Yeah.
Same wood, same headphone, different.
Different.
I don't bend that way, but you get the idea.
She different.
She different.
Yeah. And even the individual part, you know, that's part of working with wood is you kind of have to work with the wood, right? And so that even goes down to sometimes you have to make, while you're building, micro adjustments to the size of the baffle or the way things fit, because this wood type might shrink more than this wood type and this wood type. So that goes along with the individuality of each set too, is just like we try to make everything fit to this pair of cups, and this pair of cups is different than the next pair of cups and the next pair of cups and the next pair of cups.
You know, it's so crazy too, because like, you know, I have a few sets.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, but you really don't appreciate it until you're here, just like how much stuff goes into just building one set.
Yeah.
And you're not building one set, you're building hundreds of sets times thousands, you know, like it, and so many unique combinations. Like, Zach, I don't know how the hell you did it in your basement, man. Like, to even get it to this point. No. but I'm just saying, like, there's just so much that goes into it. I mean, to take it to this, I mean, it's such an accomplishment, an achievement.
I really think we're building the headphones better now.
Yeah, but
nothing against the basement headphones.
That being said, sometimes
so anybody that has an original set, contact Zach, trade them in towards a newer one.
That being said, sometimes you'll see repairs come in from older customers, 5, 6, 7-year-old headphones.
Yeah.
And pop them open and it's the same damping. It's the same, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get the opposite where it's like you see a 6-year-old headphone where the finish is still pristine and like it sounds great.
Yeah.
And maybe they need like a rod swapped out or something just from years of
Aesthetic
use and wear tear.
purposes, but
It's, sometimes you see it on the other side too where it's like,
well,
whoa.
And that's what again, so many different things go into it, but that's also one of the things I like about how these are set up, because I mean, when you look at the setup for, obviously it looks simple, but there's nothing that's crazy mechanical where this is gonna wear out.
Yes.
Like it's like if I have a spring loaded or I have like two things that are sliding on one another, like that could cause some problems over time. Whereas this, I mean, just to wear through the finish would take a long time. But then to swap this out, it's like boom, 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 done. Here's your new one.
Couple
right?
bolts. That's it.
So yeah, once the headphone gets sonically tested and looked at by Matt and the other guys in measurement, they'll come out here. We have a lot of international dealers. So that stuff's all packed for our international dealers waiting to go out soon.
Well, I think a lot of people don't know that too, because you'll see it like I guess one of the more famous and larger ones, like the Zeppelin and Co. That made in America, made in Chicago, but then shipped to where are they at? Singapore, I think.
Yeah, and this big order is for our dealer in South Korea, and he'll place like 50 headphones at a time. This one's pretty manageable at I think 25 headphones on this order. But it's pretty crazy that we have such an expansive international dealer group and people that really love the headphones.
Well, that's where I was going with next, because obviously, like on that side of the world, they're very big into IEMs. There's a lot of the Asian manufacturers that Sony and whatnot that have a huge presence there. Because I'll go on for days about how great they sound, but like how did they receive your headphones over there? I think rarity, just because of the quantity so low, to ship out across the world. You said like 25 or 50 at a time. Well, that's a lot different than over here where it's hundreds per month that could be shipped out across the United States. What has your reception and feedback been from clients overseas like that? I
think always really positive. Like you have said before, what we do is so unique, and it's definitely, I feel like, well respected over there, and people really comment on the craftsmanship. I feel like different areas, our dealers will say, well, in this country, we don't really sell a lot of the light woods, or people don't really like these colors of stabilized stuff. Like people really like the blues and the purples and that kind of thing. So we definitely have learned preferences.
Or like the color might have a cultural significance or something like that.
Yeah. Exactly. So a lot of stuff like that where we're like, okay, we're doing, stabilized resin stuff for this specific dealer. Let's make sure we pick these variations and colors and that kind of stuff, because we know that that's what sells well in their shop and what they really like and respond to. So, a lot of people, they'll get their collection started and maybe that they see another stabilized and resin look that they're like, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna sell the one that I have because that one is calling my name even more.
So, if you've never participated in a drop and you just don't know, be ready. Have your refresh finger worked out and strong, and your internet connection as fast as it can be, because they go quick. But I mean, when you look at them, there's a reason why. I mean, again, like we this whole time we've been here, there's just, you can't get this anywhere. So when you release those special batches of what your artisans here have created, and I feel like it's almost unfair too, because we like talk so much about the way that they look, but we haven't gotten to the way they sound. So I want to move this on to the next station here, and I think everybody needs to grab a quick bite. But let's grab a quick bite, and then we're gonna put some headphones on Spencer here and get that first reaction to a noob. See what his
you gotta
thoughts are.
listen to the Tessidera.
For all of you out there wondering, Mr. Spencer has never heard a ZMF headphone or any hi-fi headphone, I think, of that nature. We've talked at length about some of the things that you have. I don't know. This is like we're gonna be breaking like your audiophile virginity because you only get one time, and after this, you're not pure anymore.
I feel like having a weird operation.
Yeah. No, it's
What is about to happen to your brain is one level past seizure level.
yeah. One level past seizure level. Now we're past it. I like it.
But feel free to
You want
just
it to be too guided of a tour.
grab what you want. Take it, listen.
Well, I think it'd be all this stuff's cool. Like, it's all so cool. Like, it's all so cool.
This is I mean, I don't know for sure, but this is probably the only place that I know of where you can listen to such a wide array of tube amps, because we just own so many wacky tube amps. Like there's a lot of stores and places where you could listen to a lot of the ones that are more commonly available, but I mean, that's basically been the side hustle of this whole thing, is just having the most unique audio tube amp setups that there are. Aside from it, not that they're the best ones, but
I think they're the
so yes, this is Tube Amp Disneyland.
It's so funny. I've been looking at them all day, but when they're actually in your hands, like they're meaty.
Yeah.
They're massive.
Yeah.
They're beautiful too.
Yeah, it's a real eat your face experience.
All right, so let's see what we got
I feel
here.
like my head is just like immediately gonna explode.
No.
Yeah, it's a full seizure, full.
We just have a room in the back.
I know.
Dude, that's nuts.
Or you want to try Caldera now and see if you prefer speaker. This is a flat panel with traces through it, and so it's like a big, like this whole thing is the speaker. And then you start talking about it to your friends like they don't know.
Crazy.
So we've switched from the Atrium to the Caldera.
It's too bad we can't put the song on YouTube.
We'll put some.
Well, you can if it's not monetized, right? Or
Yeah.
you're paying. You just have to pay.
We can get his version of singing on YouTube for sure.
I don't know what you just said.
You'll find out later.
That is so sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of what happens is that people hear a number of the models at shows, and they're kind of like show fatigued.
But I can tell that they're both distinct.
Like understand the differences. So see what your thoughts are on those, because now we're going back to. So these are dynamic, but beryllium.
Do the Otor. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Wait, am I crazy? Am I actually hearing the tube right now in here?
You might be. Yeah.
You'll hear.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because when you go to high impedance, you can hear more of that stuff. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man, it's something about the dynamic ones that I just really like.
It's got a punchiness to it in a different way.
It's so good. Oh my god. I'm not saying anything because like it's you kind of have to. That is a wild. I don't think I've heard a planar sound like that. It's like a dynamic planar. That's freaking wild.
Yeah, it's definitely different than anything we've done. I think it's just a really unique headphone.
No, it is
overall.
it's. I guess the easiest way to describe it, just off of a 3-minute listen, is like it's like a hybrid.
Yeah.
Like if you took like a planar and a dynamic, like the kind of best of each, and put them in one, like it, because it has that crazy accuracy, but like there's that delicacy to the mid-range. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for coming, man.
I'm so excited. Like I'd never thought about it. It was never, hey, I'm gonna collect all this stuff, and like it's just there's so many hours of joy. Dude, I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful and so thankful to get it to where it's like this is ready for everybody else. It's good for me now. Let's see what the world thinks, and I think you nailed it. And
Thanks, man.
it's been such a pleasure for being here, and I can't express my gratitude enough.
Oh, thank you.
It's-
you make it worth doing.
All right, cut before we
Appreciate it.
kiss.
Yeah.